What if I told you that the secret to becoming irresistible has nothing to do with looks, wealth, or even charm, but with a mindset that's been around for over 2,000 years? The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who focused on wisdom, discipline, and inner peace, understood something most people today still overlook. True attraction begins within. Now, think about this for a second. Why do some people seem to draw others in effortlessly? They're not chasing, they're not trying too hard, yet people can't stop thinking about them. That magnetic energy isn't magic, it's self-mastery. And that's exactly what the Stoics practiced every day. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Notice how he didn't say, "You'll find muscles" or "You'll find money." He said strength. That inner strength, that unshakable control, is what creates the kind of presence people feel drawn to. Let's put this into a modern example. Imagine two men at a social gathering. The first is loud, constantly trying to impress, cracking jokes that don't quite land, and scanning the room for approval. The second man is calm, centered, and quietly confident. He listens more than he speaks. He doesn't seem desperate for attention. Who do you think people gravitate toward? Almost always, it's the second one. That Stoic energy in action. The Stoics believed that obsession, whether with material possessions, fame, or even other people, was a trap. Epictetus warned against tying your happiness to things outside your control. And here's the twist. When you stop chasing what you can't control, people sense it. You become unbothered, relaxed, and grounded. That's the exact opposite of neediness, which is one of the biggest turnoffs in relationships. So, what's the hidden attraction code? It's this: by mastering yourself, you make others curious about you. By valuing your own mind and peace, you show that you don't need validation. And paradoxically, that's what makes people want to be around you even more. Here's a quick reflection exercise for you. Next time you're in a conversation, notice how much of your energy is focused on trying to impress versus simply being present. Can you sit in silence without feeling awkward? Can you listen without planning your next clever response? That simple shift from performing to being is a Stoic move, and it's magnetic. At its core, attraction is less about doing and more about being. And the Stoics mastered the art of being calm, disciplined, and untouchable by outside chaos. Once you start living like that, you won't need to chase attention. Attention will naturally find you. Let's be honest, neediness is one of the fastest ways to kill attraction. When someone constantly seeks reassurance, approval, or validation, it creates a heavy energy that pushes others away. You've probably felt it before. A person who texts too often, demands constant attention, or panics if you don't respond right away. Instead of pulling you closer, it makes you want space. But here's the interesting part: the Stoics warned against this same behavior centuries ago. They didn't call it neediness, but they understood its essence. Epictetus said, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger." In other words, stop obsessing over how others respond to you and focus on mastering yourself. So why does neediness repel? Because it signals a lack of control. It shows that your sense of worth depends on someone else's reaction. And when people feel that pressure, they instinctively pull away. Humans are naturally drawn to freedom and strength, not desperation. Now flip the script. Imagine someone who doesn't need your constant approval. They enjoy your company, but they don't collapse if you're not around. They're pursuing their goals, cultivating their peace, and living with purpose. That's self-mastery. And that energy is irresistible. Think of Marcus Aurelius again. As Emperor of Rome, he carried immense responsibilities, yet his writings reveal a man deeply rooted in inner stability. He didn't beg for the world's approval. He acted with integrity and discipline, regardless of praise or criticism. That's the type of presence that creates admiration, whether in politics, friendships, or relationships. In modern life, self-mastery means learning to regulate your emotions instead of being ruled by them. It means being comfortable alone, focused on your mission, and not swayed by whether someone gives you attention today or not. Ironically, when you no longer chase it, that's when attention multiplies. Here's a challenge for you. The next time you feel that urge to check in just to get reassurance, pause. Ask yourself, am I acting from strength or from neediness right now? If it's neediness, hold back. Instead, redirect that energy into something that makes you stronger. Reading, exercising, or practicing gratitude. Over time, this rewires your brain to find fulfillment within, not from constant external approval. The Stoics lived by a simple rule. Focus on what you can control and let go of what you can't. Your self-discipline, yours to control. Your emotional stability, yours to control. Someone else's attention, not yours. And the moment you stop trying to grip what isn't yours, you start radiating confidence and peace. Neediness chases people away. Self-mastery draws them in. That's the paradox the Stoics understood long before modern psychology confirmed it. Have you ever noticed how some people can walk into a room without saying a word, yet instantly command attention? That's the power of presence, and it's rooted in silence and emotional control. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that the less you're ruled by your emotions and the noise of the world, the more magnetic your energy becomes. Think about it. When you're constantly talking, oversharing, or trying to fill every gap with words, you dilute your impact. But when you're comfortable with silence, when you don't rush to prove yourself, people lean in. They want to know more. That mystery creates attraction. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He meant that our minds often make chaos out of silence or stillness. We assume silence is awkward, or that we'll lose someone's interest if we're not constantly performing. But the truth is, silence can be power. When you're grounded in yourself, you don't need to force words. You let your presence speak. Now, let's bring this into a modern scenario. Imagine a heated argument. One person is shouting, getting emotional, raising their voice higher and higher. The other person remains calm, composed, speaking only when necessary. Who do you think has more control in that moment? Who do you think others will respect more? The calm person. Emotional control is not weakness, it's strength that people feel drawn to. Attraction isn't about over-explaining yourself or proving your worth. It's about showing through your actions, your discipline, and your restraint that you're not ruled by impulses. When someone sees that you're not easily shaken, whether by anger, jealousy, or even flattery, they sense stability. And stability is rare, which makes it valuable. Here's a small experiment you can try. During your next conversation, practice listening more than you speak. Pause before responding. Instead of rushing to fill the silence, let it breathe. Watch how people start leaning toward you, waiting for your words. That's not manipulation, it's simply the natural effect of presence and control. The Stoics practiced this daily. Marcus Aurelius wrote constantly about returning to his inner fortress, a mental space where the chaos of the outside world couldn't touch him. When you cultivate that same inner calm, you project an aura that others notice immediately. In relationships, emotional control doesn't mean being cold or robotic. It means being steady like an anchor in the storm. When others feel your stability, they trust you more, they open up more, and yes, they become more drawn to you. So, remember, silence isn't weakness, it's strength. Presence isn't passive, it's powerful. Emotional control isn't suppression, it's mastery. Put them together, and you'll find yourself radiating the kind of energy that naturally attracts, without a single word. Confidence is magnetic. But here's the paradox. The most powerful form of confidence comes when you desire without attachment. In other words, you can want someone, appreciate them, even love them deeply, but you don't cling to them. That balance is rare, and it's the essence of Stoic attraction. Epictetus put it clearly, "When you kiss your child or your wife, say to yourself that you are kissing a human being, for when it dies, you will not be disturbed." First, this might sound cold. But it isn't about detachment from love, it's about not being destroyed by attachment. The Stoics believed that we can love fully, while also remembering that everything external is outside our control. And when you live with that mindset, people can feel it. Why does this create attraction? Because it removes pressure. Nobody wants to feel like they're someone else's lifeline. If your happiness depends on them, it feels heavy. But if you can say, "I choose you, but I don't need you to complete me," that energy is liberating. It tells the other person you're with them out of strength, not out of desperation. In today's world, this looks like a man who can genuinely enjoy someone's company without panicking if they're unavailable for a few days. It looks like someone who continues to pursue their goals, passions, and values, even when in a relationship. That's confidence, because your identity isn't tied to whether someone else stays or leaves. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That kind of integrity fuels confidence. When you live in alignment with your values, you don't need external validation. You become attractive simply by being anchored in your truth. Let's make this practical. The next time you feel anxious about whether someone likes you back, pause and ask yourself, "Do I want them, or do I need them?" If it feels like need, step back. Build your own routines, invest in your growth, and let the connection flow naturally instead of forcing it. Ironically, when you release that attachment, you often get what you wanted all along, because people are drawn to freedom, not pressure. The Stoic way teaches us that love is strongest when it's free. Desire is natural. Attraction is natural. But clinging is weakness. True confidence is standing tall, knowing you can walk away if needed, while still choosing to give your best in the present moment. That's what makes people obsess. Not because you trap them, but because you set them free while being free yourself. And freedom, combined with confidence, is the ultimate magnet. At this point, you've seen how the Stoics carried a timeless secret, one that still applies today. But here's the real question. How do you take these principles and live them daily, in a way that naturally makes you magnetic? First, remember this. Attraction isn't about tricks, lines, or strategies. It's about energy. And energy is built from your habits, your mindset, and the way you carry yourself in the world. If you live with discipline, calmness, and purpose, you radiate something people can feel without you saying a word. Start with self-discipline. The Stoics trained themselves to endure discomfort. Marcus Aurelius woke up each morning reminding himself of his duties, not his desires. You can apply this by sticking to routines that make you stronger: exercise, meditation, journaling. These small acts build quiet confidence. People notice when you're consistent, even if they can't explain why they feel drawn to you. Second, practice emotional control. Instead of reacting instantly to every irritation or disappointment, pause. Breathe. Choose your response. When others see you staying calm under pressure, it signals strength. That steadiness is rare, and people are naturally pulled toward it. Third, live with purpose. The Stoics didn't waste their lives chasing shallow pleasures. They asked, "What is within my control, and what is my duty?" When you focus your energy on building something meaningful, whether it's your career, your art, or your personal growth, you create momentum. And momentum is attractive. Now, here's the part most people overlook. You don't need to show any of this. Don't brag about your discipline. Don't announce your calmness. Don't force your purpose into every conversation. Just live it. The Stoics lived quietly but powerfully. Their actions spoke louder than their words. That's why their wisdom has lasted for centuries. Think about someone you admire. Chances are, it's not just their looks or charm, it's their presence, their grounded energy, their sense of direction. You can build that same energy, starting with the choices you make every single day. Here's a simple daily Stoic practice. In the morning, set one intention. How can I act with strength today? During the day, notice when you feel the pull of neediness, and redirect it into action or reflection. At night, review your actions and ask, did I live by my values, or did I get pulled by outside forces? Over time, this consistency turns philosophy into magnetism. You're no longer trying to be attractive, you become attractive, because your life radiates peace, confidence, and purpose. That is the forbidden secret. Not manipulation, not chasing, not games. Just stoic living, self-mastery, calmness, and freedom. And when you embody that, women and people in general can't help but be drawn to you.